Welcome to everybody tonight for tonight's special meeting of council, and to those in the gallery as well, staff. I hope you're all well, and tonight just like to declare the special meeting of council open at this time. The City of the Swan acknowledges the traditional custodians of this region, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. And we pay our respects to elders past and present and their descendants. Now I need to read the following disclaimer. The terms and conditions of entry into this meeting are posted at the entry of the public gallery, and members of the public are advised to read them prior to attending this meeting and abide by them. Attendance and apologies. I have the following apologies, which there are nil tonight, so everyone's here, which is really lovely to see. And we have no one attending via electronic, which is good. And tonight we have, are there any leave of absences? No one to submit any leave of absence. If there is, just hand it along up to the CEO. There are no apologies there. And tonight we've got for disclosure of interest. If anyone has any declarations of financial and proximity interest and interest infecting impartiality, if you're not sure, just ask one of the councillors next to you for those that are new. If there are, you can also hand them up to the CEO. Again, they're in your drawer underneath your desk in a little folder there. So there are no declarations. Excellent. And now we go to public question time. Any questions relating to reports contained in the agenda? I have no written questions that have been submitted to council. Any questions without due notice? Are there any questions from the gallery? So there are no members of the public wishing to ask a question on any item in the agenda tonight. So we move down to deputations, and there are nil deputations to be received. Tonight we don't have any announcements by the Mayor without discussion, and there were no leave of absences. So tonight, reports 9.1.1 policy review. Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council resolve to adopt policy C141, Council Members' Allowance, Expenses and Recognition, with the following amendments. Add a clause 1.33, which says at the end of a Council member's term, the Council member has the option to purchase the equipment supplied to them at its depreciated value. Depreciated value is the residual value after the depreciation is applied in accordance with the City's accounting policy for depreciation of electronic equipment. Depreciation commences at the date of purchase of the equipment by the City. Clause 2.2.1, delete the words within the and add the words to the maximum. And clause 2.3.1, add the words or as adjusted by the State Administrative Tribunal from time to time after the figure 2,400 immediately after the end of the sentence. Add a clause 5.1.8. Council members may request a cab charge card to allow transport by means of taxi when on official business as outlined in clause 5.3. And the reason for the amendments is to provide further clarity to the policy.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Johnson. Is there anyone against the motion? Amendment?
My amendment to be delete clause 5.1.8.
Councillor Henderson.
That's contrary to the motion.
Okay. So if the mover is not acceptable and it's contrary to the movement?
Being contrary, I can't accept it.
Anyone further against the motion?
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, I've moved an amendment.
Okay.
If it hasn't been accepted by either the mover or the seconder, it would have to be an alternate motion at that point in time. It's contrary. Through the chair, as was proposed amendment to the amended motion, which has not been accepted by the mover or a seconder, it would have to be debated now as an amendment to the motion. You can simply speak against this motion, which is currently there, and foreshadow a motion that has it in, but it's not been incorporated into the motion under consideration.
Question. Is this amendment not contrary to the motion and therefore is not allowable?
So it depends when you made this amendment. So the amendment is being proposed now by Councillor Henderson is an amendment to the officer's report, but it doesn't change the substance of the officer's report, so it's not an alternate motion, so it's an amended motion. If you're asking the question, is the proposal from Councillor Bowman contrary to what's there, or would it be in contravention to what is proposed by Councillor Henderson and yourself?
Question?
The CEO mentioned that Councillor Henderson's motion is an amendment. Is it an amendment or is it an alternative motion because nothing's been moved yet?
So if we come back to clause 8.3 of the meeting procedures, local law under amendments, so the officer's motion was there and it's moved to be amended by Councillor Henderson, and under 8.33, amendment to a motion is only take effect when certain parts or words or others to be substituted or added. So he is seeking to substitute certain words and add others, so it's simply an amendment to the officer's motion.
So, question. In section 8.3 amendments, section 2, does it not say an amendment must be relative to the substantive motion, relevant to the substantive motion to which it is moved, and must not have the effect of negating the substantive motion? That's what it says in the meeting procedures local law. Is that not correct?
So through the chair, that's correct. So the amendment, which is what Councillor Henderson has proposed, and you have seconded, does not negate the substantive motion, which is the officer's report. But if you're asking the question about Councillor Bowman's proposed amendment to your amendment, then his would have the effect of negating that part of the motion. So that's why you need to debate this motion that's currently before it. If it's lost, he could foreshadow that he'd like to move an alternate to that motion.
So question then, if it's lost, I can't move a motion, nor can any other councillor that's similar to the motion that's been moved. So therefore, I believe the advice is incorrect.
So the motion would be changed. You could foreshadow the motion on the way through, but if not, you can simply speak against what's proposed here, and if it doesn't get up, then it doesn't get up.
Is there anyone who'd like to debate the motion?
Okay, so the speaker...
Speaker for. Councillor Henderson? Oh.
Do you have anyone against it?
Yes.
Who's
Councillor Bowman.
Okay.
Councillor Henderson?
Thank you, Mayor. I won't take a lot of time on this, councillors. The policy is fine. It just needs a little bit of trimming in regard to the equipment, because when a councillor does leave council, they may have a number of matters that they've been dealing with on the equipment, and they may need to be able to continue the need for that should there be anything arising after they've left. In regard to clause 2.2.1, it simply takes away any ambiguity because council have decided it will be the maximum. And in regard to 2.3.1, the Salaries Administrative Tribunal have a responsibility to review these expenses from time to time, and should they come into play, and it's a long time since they've done any reviews, then it would be logical that the policy has the ability to deal with that. As for the cab charge request, some councillors may have a need for that. I don't, but there may be one or two that need that, and I think it's important that we do make provision for councillors that have specific needs. Thank you.
Anyone against? Oh, sorry, Councillor Bowman. Seconder. Yep.
Councillors, previously it's been city policy to issue all councillors with a cab charge. Here is my cab charge. I do use it. What I use it for is if I have to go to a meeting of such as the PA, Perth Airport Municipality Group, or the Eastern Metropolitan Regional Council. As a user of public transport, the easiest way for me to get to those two locations is in a cab. Not in an Uber, but in a cab, because there are plenty of cabs in the centre of the city. So there's still a use for it. It's been very useful for me over the years, and it's useful because it minimises the amount of admin that I have to do. I don't have to fill in any forms. You don't have to fill in any forms. If you use your cab charge for a legitimate purpose, such as attending a committee meeting, then it's highly efficient and automated. It's what we've had for many years, and what it says now in the clause is that council members may request a city cab charge to allow transport by means of a taxi when on official business. Note the change. There is a change here from previously all councils were just issued with a cab charge. Now you can request a city cab charge. So it's that simple. So it's just a matter of maintaining a useful facility. Who knows, it may be replaced in the future with Uber, but right now there's still plenty of cabs in the city. So I'd urge council to support the motion. The other clauses, in my view, are fairly sensible and are in line with previous practice on council. So please support the motion. Thank you.
Are there any further for or against? Or against, sorry? Councillor Bowman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, a city cab charge card, that's like cash. It is not a secure way of providing cab charge to councillors if they need it, and I question some of the use potentially that could be getting used as well. Councillors, if I went to a City of Swan function and if I chose to drink, then I should be finding my own way home because I'm on city business. So that's one. Councillors...
Point of order. Councillor Bowman is suggesting that...
Wait for Councillor Bowman to resume his seat, and thank you.
As I've spoken about this, he seems to be implying that I might be drinking too much, and that's not the case.
I don't see any point of order here.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's a number of local governments that have got themselves in trouble with cab charge cards through misuse, both by staff and councillors. There's nothing to prevent a cab voucher being provided, but when you give a city cab charge card, the accountability is not so accountable. I really have a problem with councillors getting a city cab charge card. Interesting that the policy previously said we'd be issued one. I've never seen one. I don't see a need myself to use it. However, if I did need to use a cab, I would either get reimbursed or ask for a cab voucher, as opposed to having a cab charge card that, if lost, can be used by anybody.
There we go. Is anyone for the motion? No. Anyone for the against the motion? Ask call, is there anyone for or against the motion? Question?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So, what's the point is if the card has been lost, and it is going to be like when our bank card's going to be lost, and we going to be called to bank, and it's blocked the card, so nobody can use for further payment from our card. So is that condition also going to be set up on this cab charge if it's going to be approved for the councillors and the city?
Anyone for or against the motion? Quick,
The CEO perhaps answer that question.
John.
Thank you. And through the chair, if a cab charge voucher is lost, it certainly it can be used by another person. That's partly the risk. But if it's reported lost immediately, then the city can potentially seek to stop it. I don't know the specifics of it, how quickly we can put that into effect. But just like the loss of any other equipment, the sooner it's reported, the easier it is to stop illegal use or fraud.
Is anyone for or against the motion? If not, I'd like to hand over to the Deputy Mayor and I'd like to add to the discussion. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I've listened to both the discussions tonight and I'm in support of Councillor Henderson's argument to retain that cab charge, and I'd like to give a quick example of where that cab charge came into effect for me. Some of you as new councillors may or may not have travelled interstate yet. You may be lucky enough to attend a conference or a function whereby it may not be close to home and easily accessible to Uber. There was a conference I attended last year in Sydney, and arriving late at night at about 11:30, 12 o'clock in Sydney, prior to the night for the conference, it was the last flight, and I had a choice of a taxi or a black van, and when I inquired where the Uber was, so that I could save cost and do it most effectively, being that where I needed to go was about a 45-minute drive from Sydney to where the conference was being held, I was very grateful for that cab charge at that stage, because once you get into a taxi and you're on a 5-lane tunnel to your destination, as a woman as well, at night time, I had no option of getting out of that taxi in a tunnel. There was no Uber unless I decided to traverse through the black vacant airport car parking. As you know, Uber aren't allowed in the airport, so you have a choice of a cab. That cab fare was quite expensive, whether I was tracking it or not, and so I'm grateful that I had that cab charge that night. You may or may not be aware that there are different scams as young new councillors or older councillors who are new, that they will use quite a diverse amount of coercion. We can't accept cab charge. We don't have the slide option. Your internet connection's down, your phone gets lost. You're already in Sydney. You can't ring staff to ask for a cab voucher. Okay, so I'm just giving you some options to say that used responsibly, which it always is, because you can only claim for a cab charge, within reason. We all pay our own cab charges locally or Uber. That in some instances where it's business, you may not have that cash on you as a councillor, and it's not something that should come out of your own personal bank account if it's related to business and travel expenses. So I'm just putting it out there that you may consider that cab charge may come in necessarily useful, and not to dismiss it at this stage. Used effectively and responsibly, which we all would. No one, I hope, would go out drinking and expect the city to pick up their tab, whether it was council related or not. Things like travel is a legitimate reason to use that cab charge. Thank you. I'll ask.
Over to you.
Councillor Henderson, your right of reply.
Thank you. Okay, well, councillors, thank you for the first 3 parts to this motion. There was no complaint there. In regard to the cab charge, think of it like this. You need to get from point A to point B. Your credit card is maxed out. You don't have any cash in your wallet. You're on council business. Having a cab charge card simply allows you to get on and do your business. So I think it's important that we do continue the availability of cab charge. I'm not concerned about cards being lost or stolen. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone losing a cab charge card. So that's important. Accountability was raised. Every one of us have a clear responsibility as to how we expend councillors' funds on our fulfilling our duty. So very importantly, we need to be sure that we're not doing something that's counter. Also, the other advantages was raised was that with this process, using this card, it's a documented process that makes it clear to staff the detail. So that in itself is important. There's more accountability these days in terms of documentation. And so I think really that covers it. I really think that it's not a big deal. And councillors that I've known over the years have always been responsible with their expenditure. Thank you.
Yeah, put it to the vote. All those in favour of Councillor Henderson's motion, raise your hand. So Councillor Johnson, Councillor Catalano, Councillor Singh, Councillor Oringo, sorry, Councillor Dawn, try again. Councillor Johnson, Councillor Catalano, Councillor Dawn, Councillor Singh, Councillor Oringo, Councillor Jones, Councillor McCulloch, okay, Councillor Miles, it's the first run for me, Councillor Knight, Councillor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Podovnik, and myself. And those against, Councillor Howlett and Councillor Bowman. Thank you. Motion's carried. 13 to 1. 2. So next we would move to 9.1.2, the appointment and nomination of council members to committees. At this point, I'd just like to ask the CEO for some advice, that if council would like to have an informal discussion that might occur to discuss the nomination of committees and give us a few minutes, particularly maybe 30 minutes to discuss these vacancies instead of doubling up on committees and going around and around debating who is and isn't, that we might be able to have that discussion. I'll just hand over to the CEO.
Thank you. And through the Chair, under the meeting procedures standing law, it is permissible as a procedural motion to move that the debate be adjourned, so the debate can be adjourned for a specific time. So you could say, "Our debate be adjourned for 20 minutes to allow discussion," and then the debate would be resumed. At that point in time, it's possible to have an informal discussion on the nominations. You have a list of the nominations before you under the Local Government Act, and excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. Under the Act, and as confirmed again by the Department, its recent guidance, the selection of committees must be done by vote. So it's not a secret ballot, it's an open vote requiring a motion, mover and seconder for each one. Obviously, where you have situations that there is a single candidate for a nomination, or a single candidate for nomination and a deputy, it's very easy to incorporate that into one overall motion. So I'm going to suggest to you to consider an adjournment for 30 minutes, have a discussion around the table to see whether there's consensus, whether candidates might want to put the names forward or withdraw their names, and then to limit the number of motions you have to actually debate.
Now, do I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Okay.
30 minutes?
And a seconder? So we've got Councillor Johnson and seconder was Councillor Jones for 30 minutes?
Up to 30.
Up to 30 if we need it. It's moved.
Okay.
Thank you. All those in favour? So we'll go through. Councillor Johnson, Councillor Catalano, Councillor Dawn, Councillor Singh, Councillor Ringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Jones, Councillor McCulloch, Councillor Miles, Councillor Knight, Councillor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Podovnik, Councillor Howlett and myself.
All right, so through the Chair, there's 30 minutes. You, if you're happy just to look at the list of candidates you've got there, and we went through. So, for instance, for the Audit Committee at this point in time, there are 5 names, and if you're happy that there's no further substitution, then you have the 5 candidates for the Audit Committee. I might suggest that the Mayor now leads this discussion and we go through each group and see if you've got a consensus. If you have, then great. If you haven't, then those items would be withdrawn
we're live.
Okay,
I'd
so
like,
I
I'd
need,
like to move that we suspend the meeting procedures local law for 10 minutes.
seconded by councillor Bowman. Is there anyone against? No, that motion's moved. So we'll suspend this for 10 minutes and then we'll resume back live.
yourself or the deputy mayor or whoever's moving it.
Okay. On your screen, second, first line down.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move a motion that Council resolve to appoint the following council members to the following committees. Audit Committee 2023 to 2025, 5 members: Mayor Richardson, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Miles and Councillor Singh, and 1 deputy member, Councillor Johnson. On the Reconciliation Action Plan Advisory Committee 2023 to 2025, the members are Councillor Dawn and Councillor Howlett, and there is no deputy member. On the Bushfire Advisory Committee, BFAC 2023 to 2025, 2 members, Councillor Henderson and Councillor Singh, 1 deputy member, Councillor Johnson. Local Emergency Management Committee 2023 to 2025, 1 member, Councillor Prodovnik, 1 deputy member, Councillor Jones. Midland Land Redevelopment Committee, MLRC, 2024 to 2026, commencing January the 1st, 2024. 1 nomination required, Councillor Howlett. North Swan Land Conservation District Committee, North Swan LCDC, 2023 to 2025. 1 member, Councillor Dawn, 1 deputy member, Councillor McCulloch. Ellenbrook Advisory Group 2023-2025, 1 member, Councillor McCulloch, 1 deputy member, Councillor Aringo. Averley Community Advisory Group 2023 to 2025, 1 member, Councillor Aringo, 1 deputy member, Councillor Miles. Metropolitan Regional Road Group Eastern Subgroup 2023 to 2025, 1 member, Councillor Prodovnik. Perth Airports Municipality Group 2023 to 2025, 1 member, Councillor Dawn, up to 2 deputy members, only 1, Councillor Johnson. Parks of the Dowling Range Community Advisory Committee 2023 to 2025, Councillor Dawn, 1 member, Councillor Dawn, 1 deputy member, Councillor Prodovnik. Swan Community Care Advisory Committee 2023 to 2025, 1 member, Councillor Jones, 1 deputy member, Councillor Prodovnik. So I move that motion.
So CEO seconded? Oh, sorry, seconder, sorry. I'll hit that. Councillor Henderson? Is there anyone against? So carried unanimously.
Mayor, I would like to move a motion that we select the members of the committees being the CEO Performance Review Panel, Eastern Metropolitan Regional Council, Development Assessment Panel, and Eastern Metropolitan Zone of the Western Australian Local Government Association by voting individually for the members in the reverse order as shown on the paper in front of us.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Miles? Is there anyone against? Carried unanimously. Question, Councillor Miles?
Sorry, just a quick question. Do we have to move that there's no debate on each? That's fine.
The first candidate for the CEO Performance Review Panel is Councillor Singh. So I'm moving that Councillor Singh be elected to the CEO Performance Review Panel.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Zanino? Is anyone against? Councillor Jones, were you against? Was it? No, sorry. Okay. So there was no one against? All those in favour, raise your hand. No. Apologies. I thought... Sorry.
I thought what was happening is he was being nominated and then people were raising their hand in support.
So you've moved a motion to have a vote on each candidate. So, and that's on that basis, you have to then continue this process. I did suggest we wanted to avoid getting it too complex. So you'd then take each candidate and then you move a final motion based on who's there.
That's not what we've agreed. What we've agreed is
So it's those all in favour
Councillor Singh.
of Councillor Singh, please raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, you can. Yeah. Do you want to call?
You need to read that.
Yep. So Councillor Johnson, Councillor Singh, Councillor Dawn, Councillor Ringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor McCulloch, Councillor Miles, Councillor Knight. Yeah, Councillor Jones, through this. Councillor Knight, Councillor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Podovnik, and Councillor Howlett.
Against?
And those against? Councillor Catalano,
Councillor, and your vote?
and mine was a 4, sorry.
Okay. You need to
I meant to put my hand up.
14 votes for.
So 14 votes for and 1 against. So it's carried.
next motion. I move that Councillor McCullough be elected to the CEO Performance Review Panel.
Got a seconder? Councillor Podovnik? Is there anyone against? Councillor Carlano against?
So you now
Okay.
go to
So those in favour of Councillor McCulloch, raise your hand. So we've got Councillor McCulloch, Councillor Singh, Councillor Jones, Councillor Zanino, Councillor Henderson and Councillor Podovnik in favour. Those against? Myself, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Catalano, Councillor Dawn, Councillor Ringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Miles, Councillor Knight, Councillor Howlett. Yep, so many. So 6 to 9.
next one is Councillor.
So I move that Councillor Howlett be elected to the CEO Performance Review Panel.
Seconder, Councillor Knight. Is anyone against? No. So all those in favour?
There's no one
There was no one against, we don't need to call it, it's fine. Unanimously, and next one.
See, I think we're required to vote for each candidate, are we not?
No, not if it says no one against. If there's no one against, it's carried unanimously.
I'd like to move that Councillor Catalano be elected to the CEO. I move that Councillor Catalano be elected to the CEO Performance Review Panel.
We've got a seconder. Councillor Knight. Is anyone against? It's carried unanimously.
I move that the following members of the CEO Performance Review Panel, the CEO and the members are Councillor Catalano, Councillor Howlett and Councillor Singh.
So all those in favour? Oh, seconder, sorry. Councillor Knight. Is anyone against? All those in favour? You're good? So that's carried unanimously. Then the next one.
I move that Councillor Zunino be elected to the Eastern Metropolitan Regional Council.
I have a seconder. Councillor Podovnik. Is anyone against? Councillor Catalano. Do you wish to debate it? No debate, was it? So those in favour? Is everyone in favour? So we had 6 for, 9 against. So those against? I'll just try to keep count.
9, that's correct. 9 votes
Okay.
against.
So that's carried.
No,
6 votes for, 9 votes against.
so it's not carried. I move that Councillor Henderson is elected to the Eastern Metropolitan Regional Council.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Podovnik. Is there anyone against? Councillor Catalano. So all those in favour, just to be counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, down 5. Okay. So those against? 8.
9 votes against.
So 9 votes against.
I move that Councillor Catalano be elected to the Eastern Metropolitan Regional Council.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Knight. Is there anyone against? Councillor Henderson. All right. So all those in favour? 10 votes for. And against. Were those against? Pop your hand up. Thank you. Can we just confirm that those against? Thank you.
I move that Councillor Bowman be elected to the Eastern Metropolitan Regional Council.
We've got a seconder, Councillor Knight. Is there anyone against? Okay, so those in favour?
No one against.
Oh, we're done. It was unanimous. We'll get there.
I move that Councillor Bowman and Councillor Catalano be the members of the Eastern Metropolitan Regional Council for 2023 to 2025. And the Deputy, Councillor Johnson.
I have a seconder, Councillor Miles. Anyone against? So it's carried unanimously. Thank you.
I now move that Councillor Zanino be elected to a 2-year term from January 27, 2024 to the Development Assessment Panel.
I've got a seconder, Councillor Henderson. Is there anyone against? Councillor Catalano? Right. That's it. Yep, so all those in favour? How many have you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those against? 10. Yep. So 6 votes for and 9 against.
I move that Councillor Henderson have a 2-year term from January 27, 2024 on the Development Assessment Panel.
We've got a seconder, Councillor Zanino. You had your hand up first. Is there anyone against? Councillor Catalano, Councillor Knight. Is that it? Yep. So those in favour? Pop your hands up. Yeah. Have we got 5?
Yep.
Okay.
Against.
Those against, just pop your hands up nice and high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So that's carried. And next.
I move that Councillor Catalano be elected to a 2-year term from January 27, 2024 to the Development Assessment Panel.
We've got a seconder, Councillor Knight. Is there anyone against? Councillor Henderson. All those in favour? So 12 votes for. And those against? 1, 2, 3. Do we get 12 for? So 12 votes for and 3 against. It's carried.
I move that Councillor Bowman be elected to a 2-year term from January 27, 2024 to the Development Assessment Panel.
I have a seconder, Councillor Miles. Is there anyone against? It's unanimous. It's carried.
I move that Councillor Bowman and Councillor Catalano be elected to a 2-year term from January 27, 2024 to the Development Assessment Panel.
Have I got a seconder? Oh,
Oh yeah, and the Deputy Councillor Knight be elected.
do we have a seconder? Councillor Miles, first hand up. Is there anyone against? No. So those in favour? Well, there you go. And
Yeah, next. We're now moving on to the Eastern Metropolitan Zone of the Western Australian Local Government Association. So I move that Councillor Miles be elected from 2023 to 2025 to the Eastern Metropolitan Zone of the Western Australian Local Government Association.
And seconder, Councillor Knight. Anyone against? Councillor Bowman. So those in favour? And those against? 1, 2, 3. So 12 votes for and 3 against. That's carried.
I move that Councillor Bowman be elected from 2023 to 2025 to the Eastern Metropolitan Zone of the Western Australian Local Government Association.
Of a seconder? Councillor Bowman. Is there anyone against? Councillor Catalano. Those in favour? And those against?
We have one exemption. I don't know if Councillor Jones voted the first time. Four? Okay.
Okay.
Two for the... Oh, that's all right.
I'm just going to do a recheck. So those 4?
1, 2, oh, 3. That's
3.
right.
Okay. Thank you.
I move that Councillor Evia Aringo be a member of the Eastern Metropolitan Zone of the Western Australian Local Government Association from 2023 to 2025.
And a call for a seconder. We've got Councillor Miles. Is there anyone against? Councillor Bowman. So those in favour? Right. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's right. 14, 1. And those against, just raise your hand. 1, 2. Okay. So we've got 13 for and 2 against. That's carried.
Mayor, at this point, may I ask if Councillor Bowman wants to be a deputy member on Wulga?
Thanks, Councillor Bowman.
In that case, I move that Councillor Aringo and Councillor Miles be our members of the Eastern Metropolitan Zone of the Western Australian Local Government Association for 2023 to 2025, and to also include Councillor Singh as a deputy member.
So seconder. So seconder. Councillor Knight. Is there anyone against? Councillor Bowman. All those in favour? And those against? Councillor Bowman. 14 to 1, carried. I'd just like to thank everyone tonight, especially for working together to find these committees and get our nominations organised for next year, or beginning of this year and the end of this year, and working into next year. That we managed to fill most of those positions, which is a great achievement tonight. And thank you, the staff of all sat, and those at the gallery, and those at home that are watching. And look forward to seeing you on Wednesday night. Thank you.
And for the councillors who are just staying for the next session, the training, it will only go for about 20 minutes at the most.